So today is day 3 of pattern tables, and today we're going to look more at the graphing and the relationships. So our first slide that you're looking at right now should seem familiar to you. This is a review slide that you have seen previously in Mrs. Messenger's science class, and this is just about the different types of graphs. So I just wanted to pull this up to show this is what we're talking about as far as graphing. There are different kinds of graphs. We're focusing on line graphs in this lesson. And just a reminder, in a graph, there are different things that you need to have. You need to have a scale, which is the set of numbers from 0 to whatever, and in that scale, you need to have an interval, which is the number that you're counting by as you're creating your scale. Sometimes you need a break. That's more in science. Math, we don't usually have a break too often. Occasionally, we will, though. And just a reminder of the parts of a graph. Most graphs need a title. You need labels for the X and Y axis. You need scales for the X and Y axis. Sometimes you need labels for the different values on the X axis. You need to have your data properly placed. Sometimes you need a break. And those are the 7 parts of a graph. With our math graphs, we're going to focus mostly on the labels for the x-axis, the y-axis, the scales for the x and the y, and placing our data properly. Most of our graphs that we're doing right now with these relationship tables don't have a title. Okay, so here's our first problem. Maria and Elsie have a new piggy banks. Maria saves $2 each week. Elsie saves $4 each week. If neither of them spends any of their money, how do their savings compare after a year? So we know that Maria's rule is that she saves $2 each week. So she started with $0. Week 1, she has 2. So if she continues to save $2 each week, week 2 she'll have 4, and week 3 she will have $6. Elsie is saving $4 each week. So she started with 0. Week 1 she has 4. Then we add 4 more to get 8 for week 2, and 4 more to get 12 at week 3. So we look at this and we try to identify our relationship, okay? So when we look between Maria and Elsie, we see a pattern, okay? So it's either 2 plus 2 or 2 times 2. So we have to look at the next one. Well, 4 plus 2 is 6, so it's not plus 2. So our rule here is, or from Maria to Elsie, is times 2. So when we talk about our relationship, we have to talk about that as being double or half, depending on who you're starting with. So our relationship here would be Maria has half the amount of Elsie, or we could say Elsie has 2 times more than Maria. Okay, more than Maria. So we're going to plot this. Okay, so Maria and Elsie both start with 0, so our first point is at 0, 0. Then Maria, we're going to put her on the X, and Elsie on the Y. When Maria has 2, Elsie has 4. So we're going to plot that. When Maria has 4, Elsie has 8. And when Maria has 6, Elsie has, oh, it's off the graph. But we get our point here, and we can draw our line to connect our dots. And it will continue in exactly that manner. But it shows the relationship that Elsie always has 2 times more than Maria, or we could say it in the opposite. Maria has half of what Elsie has. So let's look at another example. Okay, and what we're really looking at today is how do we find that relationship between the 2 sequences in our pattern. So rule 1, start with 0 and add 2. So we started with 0, we're going to add 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Then we have our Then we have our second rule. It was start with 0, add 6. So 6, 12, 18, 6 more is 24. Okay. Now, let me split the screen here. Okay, so now we can graph this. Okay, so because it says rule A and rule B, we have to decide what's going on the X and what's going on the Y. So we'll stick with yesterday. So we'll put what's on top at the X, and rule B, sorry about the printing, rule B is going on the y. Okay, so it starts with 0, 0. Okay, and I need to come up with a scale here because I don't have a scale at this time. So I'm going to go and count by twos, I believe. So let's see. So this is 0, and I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and 24. I think that'll be good enough for A. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to go 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I'm going to start skipping a little bit here. I'm going to actually fix that. Okay. I'm only going to put every other one. Okay, so 2, skipping 4, this would be 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. Okay, that just made it a little bit easier to see the numbers there. Okay, so it starts at 0, 0. Okay, then when rule A is at 2, rule B is at 6. So plotting a point right there. And then when it's at 4, rule B is at 12. When it is at 6, it is at 18. And when it is at 8, it is at 24. And when we connect, we see that there is definitely, there is definitely a line from through all of those points. Okay, so when we look at this relationship, we have to say, what's the connection? Since they're all in one line, what's the relationship? Well, from rule A to rule B, it goes from 2 to 6 and then 4 to 12. So we have to find the connection. We know it's increasing, so it's either plus 4 or it is times 3. So we have to check both of them. So is it plus 4 or is it times 3? So 2 plus 4 is 6. 4 plus 4, oh, that's 8. So let's go check our other one. 2 times 3 is 6. 4 times 3 is 12. Looks like it's times 3, but let's check it out the whole way. 6 times 3 is 18. 8 times 3 is 24. So this is a times 3 rule. So we have to look at that and that helps us come up with our relationship. So rule B is 3 times rule A. Okay, so rule B is 3 times rule A. Okay, let's switch back to single page and we're going to look at another example. Okay, so with this, we have to now start finish filling out the table with the rule and then plot it and figure out the relationship. So rule A says start with 40 and subtract 5. So I started with 40, so I'm going to subtract 5, and then I'm going to subtract 5 again and get 30, and then 25 for the final value. Okay. Rule B says start with 63 and subtract 5. So 63 minus 5 is 58. 58 minus 5 is 53. And then minus 5 again is 48. So once we do that, then we can plot our data. Give me 1 second to scroll down here. Okay, so this is going to be a little hard to see because I'm going to have to go back and forth. But the next thing I would have to do is come up with my scale and label my X and Y axis. So we're going to put, rule A at the, hold on 1 second. There we go. Okay, we're going to put rule A at the bottom and rule B at the side. Okay, so I'm going to, for rule A, I need to get from 0 to okay, my finger is not working anymore on the touchscreen. I need to get from 0 to 40, and I got to get the whole way to 63 for rule B. Okay, so I'm just going to go 0. Okay. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. I'm making this short, and I know that's not okay, but just to show you what this looks like. And then I'm going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70 for rule B. So when I look at this, rule A is 40 when rule B is 63. Okay, so 40, 63 right there. Okay, when I look at my next one, I have 35 and 58. So 35 and 58 right there. And then 30 and 53 right about there. And then those points are probably not exactly where they need to be. And then I have 25 and 48. 25 and 48. So right about there. So when I connect those, there is a line shooting straight through those points. The relationship, though, between these values is that rule B is 23 greater than rule A. Whoa, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Lost my screen. Okay, so here's our last one because I'm running out of time. So we're going to start with 3 for rule G, and we're going to multiply by 2. So times 2 is 6, then 12, then 24. Rule H says start with 6 and multiply by 2. So that's 12, 24, and 48. Now, we're not going to graph this one. We're just going to talk about a relationship. So we have to look at rule G to rule H. So the whole way across, we need to look at those. So it could be 3 plus 3 is 6, or 3 times 2. So let's check both of those. Well, 6 plus 3 is 9, so that's not going to work. So let's try the times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So the relationship here is that rule H is 2 times greater than rule G. Okay? So, looking at another one, talking about relationship here because I think you're good enough at graphing. Rule A, we're going to start at 9 and we're going to add 4. So 9 plus 4 is 13, plus 4 is 17, plus 4 is 21. Rule B says start at 22 and add 4. So that would be 26, 30, and then 34. So we need to look for a relationship here. So it's either plus or it's minus, okay? So it looks like it's either plus or multiplication. Well, 9 times nothing is 22. So let's try addition. Okay, 9 plus what is 22? Well, 22 minus 9 is, oh my gosh, sorry. Okay, hold on one second. Is 13. Okay, so let's check. Is 13 plus 13 26? 13 plus 13, yep, it's 26. Is 17 plus 13 30? Yep, it's 30. Okay, so our relationship here is that rule B is 13 greater than rule A. We could also say rule A is 13 less than rule B. Okay, so if you have any questions, make sure you ask me about this relationship, And